In these problems, we are adding polynomials, and polynomials is a big fancy Greek word. It just means, well, poly means many, and nomials really means name. It just means these expressions like this one that have many terms. We've got in this one an x to the fourth term, an x to the sixth term, a number term, and same thing in this one. So they're polynomials. When we add them, it's just like combining like terms. The only tricky part is you have to know that any different power of x is a different term. You can't combine the x to the fourth with the x to the sixth. That doesn't work. So treating all of these as separate terms and then combining them. So let's do this. I'm going to start with the highest term in each one. They're not actually written in the same order, which is a little confusing. So these are the x to the sixth terms. Since this is just a plus sign in here, all these signs stay the same. I'm just going to add everything together. So a negative 7 x to the sixth plus a negative 9 x to the sixth. Well, negative 7 plus a negative 9 is negative 16, and it's an x to the sixth. So that part's done. Let's go to the next highest term. That's the x to the fourth terms. And we've got a negative 5 and a positive 7. So that comes out to be a positive 2 x to the fourth. And then finally the numbered term, we've got a negative 7 and a positive 3. And that comes out to be a negative 4. So there's our answer. Negative 16x to the sixth plus 2x to the fourth minus 4. Let's look at one slightly trickier one. And the only reason this is any trickier is that we're subtracting. We're really going to go through the same process, except that what I would recommend is just distribute the negative sign first. So what that means when I say distribute the negative sign, it's like multiplying everything by negative 1. It just flips the signs. And then we don't have to worry about changing them later. So this would be 5x cubed times a negative 1 would be negative 5x cubed. A negative 7x squared times a negative 1 would be a positive 7x squared. A 3x times a negative would be a negative 3x. And a negative 7 times a negative would be a positive 7. And now we're just going to add these to these like we did in the first one. So let's go ahead and find the highest term first. X to the third looks like it's the highest term. We've got a positive 3 and a negative 5. So that's going to be a negative 2x to the third. Cross those off. We've got an x squared term here, 6 and a positive 6 and a positive 7. So that's a positive 13x squared that those two add up to. And then in this one we have an x term, but we don't in this one. So it's like adding this negative 3x to some 0 over here. It just stays a negative 3x. So we just write it in there. And then we have a positive 7 and a positive 7. That's a positive 14 for our number term. And that is your answer. So that's a little bit of work with adding and subtracting polynomials.